Okay, good afternoon. I think it's afternoon. Welcome to day one for Microsoft Ignite. We're going to talk for about 20 minutes on rethinking backup and recovery in a multi-cloud world. My name is Jason Buffington. I'm a VP of Solution Strategy for Veeam. What I'm basically going to walk you through for about 20 minutes is I'm going to first walk you through a little bit of the architecture for how we've changed Veeam from when we were first just a VMware backup-centric solution to something which really is designed for multi-cloud. Then we're going to go from that. I'm going to walk you through about 4 different considerations of how the cloud and data protection should be intersecting, so we'll talk about that for a few minutes. And then the last thing is I want to make a plug for everything that we're going to talk about today. We do live demos on our Wednesday session. Matt Carpenter is also joining me for that, and we'll actually be doing live demos of not only the current product, which is Veeam Backup and Replication 9.5, we'll be showing beta 2 of the V10 product. We'll be showing first glance, so we just announced this morning Veeam Backup for Office 365 version 4, so the public beta for that is now available. And then lastly, on Wednesday, you're going to be the first ones outside of Veeam to actually see Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure. So we're doing native backups of IaaS-hosted VMs in Azure and other favorite clouds that you might have. So that is actually a part of your breakout session for Wednesday. We don't get a chance to do as many demos on a 20-minute session, so let me just walk you through what we're going to go through. First things first, one of the things which is truly different this time around in the IT industry than what we've ever seen before is that in the past, and I've been in IT for about 30 years, in the past we would move from, say, mainframes, we went to NetWare, and then in place we went from NetWare and we went to Windows along the way. The assumption is that we were going to turn off the NetWare boxes when we were done moving to Windows. And then we went from physical to virtual, and the assumption is that you were going to get rid of the physical boxes and you would be all virtual. We never actually even got that far. But here's the problem. So now where most customers are going today is we're saying, hey, we want to adopt cloud, but nobody is saying, hey, we're going to get rid of the data center completely. There's almost always going to be something in a hybrid architecture that folks need to think about, which is going to include physical servers and virtual servers, and that's, by the way, multi-hypervisor, and then multiple clouds, and that's the multi-cloud definition that we have to go with. Here's the problem if you're thinking about backup. In the old days, once upon a time when Windows was like the center of the universe, there was 1 or 2 backup companies that did Windows really well, and as long as you did Windows, you were great for backup. And then we went to virtualization. As long as you did virtualization well, that was the core solution. This time around, because it's a multi-cloud architecture, the way that you back up Office 365 is different than how you back up Azure, is different than how you back up Amazon, is different than how you back up on-prem. So the same secret sauce that got you from whatever hop you are to wherever you are now, that secret sauce is not going to work when you go to a multi-cloud type architecture. So you need to be thinking about an architecture that actually has secret sauce for each of the cloud architectures that you're going to be leaning towards. And that brings us towards what Veeam is working on. Now, our core design principle is simple and flexible and reliable, but the way that we've actually built that is we start with backup and replication. There's also a function called data labs in there, but on top of this backup and replication engine, what you really want to think about is what Veeam really is we are a data mover. We're really good at moving zeros and ones from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. And oh, by the way, we reinstantiate it wherever it lives on that right-hand side. What you do with it is up to you. So whether that's backup or migration or DR, it starts with just moving data from one side to the other. We put an API layer underneath it so we can actually talk to all your favorite hypervisors and clouds. We put orchestration on the front because if you know anything about data protection, the one thing you should not be thinking about during a recovery is manual tasks. So anything that you can automate, either for disaster recovery or live migration, you should be doing that through workflows and orchestration. And then last, we put some monitoring in, and then we can kind of build that out. This is actually the core foundation of what we do. From a cloud perspective, it's Amazon, Azure, IBM Cloud, and our own service provider network. 3 different hypervisors, 4 different OSs, and then underneath we have API-based language that lets us talk to all the major storage vendors out there. This is how we're addressing a multi-cloud backup solution where it's not just around best for VMware, but really a design that's based on, okay, let's do data movers and then separate the data movers in the control plane from the secret sauce that actually allows us to integrate with snapshotting and replication technology below, as well as clouds and hypervisors up above. This is how we're gearing for that. Now, to get that the rest of the way, and if I had more time, I'd walk you through all the wonderful things that Veeam does, but I don't. So instead, what I want to do is really take you through the core topic of what we advertise, which is how do we apply this to a multi-cloud architecture. Now, to do that, the first thing you ought to think about is how are you actually planning on using cloud within your IT strategy? Everybody's going to use cloud, but there's not one, the cloud, that everyone is going to be using, right? So let's talk about how that works. In 2018 data, the #1 use case planned for cloud is actually running production. Now, what's interesting about that is if you've been to Ignite over the last couple of years, that hasn't always been the case. In fact, up until about 2 years ago, the primary use cases that people were using backup for was as a repository, using cloud for was as a repository for backup and disaster recovery. Only 1 in 4 organizations were using it for production purposes. And what we found is that over the last couple of years, in 2017, there was an inflection where people finally said, you know what, it's not just about I want to recover to it, I actually do trust the cloud for my production workload infrastructure. That inflection point actually looks a lot like what we saw in virtualization about 14 years ago when folks first said, I don't think I want to run my production apps inside of a VM. I don't trust that. It's got to be on physical boxes, but I wouldn't mind backing up to it, or I wouldn't mind testing with it. And then at some point, people started failing over into VMs. They said, you know, this stuff runs pretty well. Maybe we could run in production. And that inflection point for cloud happened about 1.5 years ago. But still, if you aggregate that out, 3 out of 5 organizations will use the cloud as either a repository for backup and recovery or as a secondary site for disaster recovery. These are the 2 main scenarios that we're going to address. So if you're going to try to work on the cloud in a multi-cloud data protection architecture, the first thing you got to think about is what are you trying to actually solve for? So the first thing is a lot of organizations, the only thing they really want to think about as far as data protection in the cloud is they just want to get your data out of the building, right? And so I would call, and by the way, if you do nothing else with the cloud, sign up a credit card, get some Microsoft dollars out of it, and just get your data out of the building. Right? At least that way, if there's a disaster that happens, you can roll up your sleeves and you have survivable data. One thing I will caution you on, though, is as many people want to use the cloud as a repository for backup, it will not necessarily, for most organizations, negate the need for tape. Tape is not dead. We're going into 2020, tape is still not dead. It's been gracefully dying for 20 years, and I think it's going to be around for a lot longer than that. But where tape actually does fit within a cloud-based data protection strategy is really for that 10-year and beyond long-term retention of data that's really usually mandated either by regulatory compliance or for geopolitical sovereignty. Most data does not have a 10-year lifespan of usefulness, which means that data really can just be out of the building for survivability, 2 to 3 years max, and cloud is perfect for that. If you're going to use Veeam for that, there's 2 different ways you can get that done. You can use what we call cloud tiers. So if you want to actually just use our core backup and replication product on-prem and just get your data to your favorite cloud, which I presume to be Azure, in that case, you can use that with cloud tier that's been out since 9.5 before. Also, if you have partners out there, so we have a network of tens of thousands of Veeam cloud service providers that not only will actually let you consume that data, just like Azure Blob Storage, but they actually manage it for you. It's a better infrastructure, and that's actually a key point we'll talk through. The bottom line is when you're going to look at using cloud and data protection in the same sentence, figure out what you're solving for. Now, this is solving for just storage. I just want to get the data out of the building. If I'm instead trying to solve for how do I get the backups to be actually better? Now that either means improving the backup infrastructure itself, or it means just putting a smarter operator on it. And that's something that a lot of folks don't understand is that when you look at backup as a service or BaaS, most people think about BaaS as simply, I don't have to own my own backup servers anymore. I don't have to worry about versions for my agents anymore. Someone else will do that, and that's true. But you still get to manage that type of infrastructure. You just don't have to touch the metal. The difference is, and what I hope you take away, is that what really makes BaaS interesting is not the provider part, it's the service part. It's the expertise, because at the end of the day, whether you're managing the backups or somebody else is, if you only see a backup error once every 3 to 4 months, your backups are still going to have roughly the same error rate. Instead, if you put a smarter human in charge of the backups, and they're responsible for backup as a service for a lot of different organizations, they're going to see those kinds of errors and those architectural considerations on a much more frequent basis. So I would encourage you, when you look at backup as a service, don't think about it as where the data is going to go. Think about it as who's going to operate it. Now, so that's the first question you ought to be thinking about in a multi-cloud architecture is, what are you solving for? Is it just for capacity, or are you really trying to have a better mousetrap, something that actually solves backup instead? Now, one of these days, I'm going to get Veeam to print some t-shirts for me that says, why BAS when you can DRAS? Right? The difference is that when you BAS, the presumption is I'm going to put the data back where it came from, back on-prem. I'm going to pull it from whatever cloud or repository I have, and I'm going to bring it back on-premise. What I'd really rather do is just power it up. Right? Just like I did with virtualization 13 years ago, I'd really rather just power that up. And you can actually get to a DRAS-type architecture from either cloud-based storage, if the storage is portable, or from backup as a service. And again, what you ought to be thinking about in a multi-cloud perspective is you're not just thinking about secondary sites. If you're a small business or if you're a partner selling to small business, you don't own a secondary site. So yes, DRAS is great for that. But what I think is more interesting, especially for enterprises, is be thinking about, again, the expertise. Be thinking about a smarter person helping craft your disaster recovery strategy, not just providing a secondary site for data to go to. In fact, if you kind of break down what does the average person need to know in order to solve for backup and infrastructure recovery, if you're focused on just solving infrastructure recovery, you got to know how the backup software works, and you probably ought to know how the applications work and how the hypervisors work. That's how you can recover data from an operational perspective. But if you're really thinking about disaster recovery, in disaster recovery, what you really need to know is more around how do we tie the business processes back to their dependent IT services. Oh, by the way, how do we actually go back to what kind of regulations do we have, and how do we do workflow and testing? That's what DR experts really have. And by the way, when you look at how that works in a disaster recovery model, here's what you'll find. If you're just thinking about backup admins are actually only part of the DR plan about 30% of the time. In fact, they're only in charge of the DR plan about 7% of the time. Because what you really ought to be thinking about is business level recovery, not IT level recovery. So when we think about disaster recovery, you ought to be thinking about, again, are you looking to solve for just a second set of infrastructure that you don't have to actually touch? Or are you looking for smarter humans? And then for BAS and DRAS, more and more, traditional infrastructure, that's going to be commoditized, right? More and more Azure and Amazon are going to take that over. What the solution provider network has to do to provide differentiation is going to be around expertise. All right, third piece of the puzzle. So some folks are going for, I just want to solve for storage. Other folks are solving for, I just want to have a better backup solution. But when you really want to go production, certainly that is the hype that's all over this conference for this week. You still have another question to ask. And the first part of that question is, are you talking about live production, say, in Azure-hosted VMs, or are we talking about something like Office 365 and SaaS? If you're talking about SaaS, please hear me on this. Office 365 does not back itself up. Okay, other than a 14-day recycle pin, the fact that you decided to go from servers to services does not absolve you of 7 years of retention. Right? And the fun part is that if the servers in Redmond go down, my mail will come out of Philadelphia, and I don't care. Right? So it is natively durable, and that's great. But there's more to protecting an infrastructure like Office 365 than just the durability of the service. Certainly, the durability of the service is covered. SaaS does that in spades. Office 365 is fantastic on that. If you're using E5, there's some legal hold options that you get that you can stretch, but that's really for lost customers or lost users. Regulatory compliance, operational backups, in order to actually move and migrate that data in, those are all reasons where, see the little green versus the blue, this is where you're going to complement the native functionality of Office 365 resiliency with traditional backup and long-term retention, which comes from a backup solution, no surprise here, from Veeam. All right, so that's your third question, is what what I hope you don't do, whenever you modernize production, there's always a tendency to forget about protection until later. But again, if you're going to go from well-protected, say Exchange, to unprotected, Office 365, you're actually working backwards in some cases. So make sure that protecting that Office 365 data is part of your plan. And then lastly, and I know I'm getting close on time, if you didn't go with SaaS, the last case of this is to protect hosted VMs in Azure. And as I mentioned at the beginning of our hour, the reason that's glowing is because about an hour and a half ago, we announced Veeam's native backup solution for Azure. Now, to help you understand what that looks like, think about 13 years ago when people were backing up VMs, the only answer was to put an agent inside of every VM. Veeam came around and said, no, that's a bad idea. What you ought to be doing is backing it up from the hypervisor instead, from underneath. This does that for Azure like we did for VMware 13 years ago. We're backing up the VMs as an underpinning. And oh, by the way, then this kind of fills out the rest of the story. All right, I think I'm pretty close on done on time. Here's what I want you to take away. So if you're taking pictures, here's your summary shot. So multi-cloud does not mean that we're going cloud only. It just means for most organizations, cloud first. So plan for physical and virtual on-prem plus IaaS and SaaS. If you're thinking about cloud storage, go for Azure Storage, and you can use that for your Office data as well as your Veeam backup. If you're looking for infrastructure, you're looking for a partner. If you're looking for disaster recovery, be thinking workflow. And then, of course, as I mentioned, Veeam backup for Office 365 and Azure. We have the session we're doing on Wednesday is nothing but demos. We're going to see these slides in about 10 minutes, and we're going to demo each of these core capabilities, including the first look on Azure. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you have a good show, and I think you're supposed to fill out a survey or something. Take care.